Your brain quietly deletes almost everything that happened before you were 3. Not blurs it, not misplaces it. Salatus steets. Your first birthday, your first steps. The first time someone held you and called you by your name. All of it gone. And the strangest part? You were awake for every second of it. You laughed. You cried. You learned the shape of a face. You felt safe and unsafe and hungry and warm. And then your brain quietly took the receipts and threw them out. Scientists actually have a name for this little vanishing act, and it's called infantile amnesia. It sounds like a disorder, but it isn't. It's something nearly every human on the planet experiences, and you're experiencing it right now in reverse. You're staring into a hole where your earliest years used to be. So here's the better question, the one this video is actually about. Not why you can't remember being a baby, but why your brain chose to erase it. Because that's what's really happening. This isn't forgetting. This is housekeeping. And once you understand what your brain was actually doing back there, you'll never think about your own childhood the same way again. Try something with me for a second. Close your eyes and reach back as far as you can. Find the earliest moment you actually remember. Not a photo your parents showed you, not a story you've been told 100 times, but a real memory with texture and feeling. Most people land somewhere between 3 and 4 years old. A few lucky ones get fragments from around 2. Almost no one gets anything before that. And yet, you were absolutely there. You were learning language at a speed your adult brain could never match. You were building a model of the entire world from scratch. You were arguably doing the most important learning of your entire life. And your brain decided none of it was worth keeping as a memory you could replay. Here's the strange part. Babies can clearly remember things in the short term. A 6-month-old recognizes their parents. A 1-year-old knows where their favorite toy lives. They have memory. They use memory. They just can't seem to hold on to it the way you and I hold on to a vacation from last summer. So what's actually going on inside that tiny, busy head? The leading suspect is a little curled-up structure deep in your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's librarian. It takes the messy, raw experience of a moment and files it into long-term storage, tagged with time, place, and feeling. The catch is that a baby's hippocampus is still under construction. It's wiring itself, growing new neurons at a furious pace, rearranging its own shells while it's trying to file new books. And here's where it gets weirder. Some researchers think those new neurons don't just add storage, they actually overwrite older memories in the process. The very growth that makes you smarter may be the same growth that erases your earliest self. Imagine a librarian who keeps tearing down walls to build bigger rooms, and every time she does, half the books on the old shelves get lost. That's roughly what your brain may have been doing to baby you. But the hippocampus is only half the story. The other half is language. Most of your adult memories are stitched together with words. You remember a moment as a tiny story you can tell yourself. I was here, this happened, then this. Before you had language, you didn't have that thread. You had sights and smells and feelings and warmth, but no narrator to tie them together. So even if your baby brain did record something, it filed it in a format your adult brain can no longer open. It's like trying to play a cassette tape on a phone. The information might still be in there somewhere, but you've lost the machine that can read it. And there's a third layer to this, which is honestly the part that made me sit and stare at a wall for a while. Your sense of self, the feeling that there is a you who experiences things, also takes years to fully boot up. Before about 18 months, most babies don't even reliably recognize themselves in a mirror. They look at their own reflection like it's another curious little stranger. You can't really remember being someone if you didn't quite know you were someone yet. So now zoom out and look at what's happening together. A librarian who's still being built. A language you didn't speak yet. A self that hadn't fully formed. Of course, those memories didn't survive. The wonder isn't that you forgot. The wonder is that anything from back then made it through at all. Now here's where I have to be honest with you. Scientists are still arguing about exactly how much of this is true and in what proportion. Some lean harder on the hippocampus rewiring idea. Some lean harder on the language and self-awareness idea. Some think the memories are still in there, just impossible to retrieve. It's a real open, lively debate. What pretty much everyone agrees on is this: infantile amnesia is universal, it's predictable, and it isn't a bug. It looks like a feature. Quick pause. I'm genuinely curious about you. What's the earliest memory you can actually reach? Not a story you were told, but a real one with a feeling attached. How old were you, and what was happening in that moment? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and the patterns people share are honestly fascinating. Birthdays, pets, scrapes, weirdly specific kitchens. Okay, back to your disappearing childhood. Because there's one more twist that flips this whole thing on its head. Even though you can't remember those early years absolutely remember you. They shaped how you respond to being held, to being startled, to being alone in a quiet room. They shaped which sounds feel like home and which ones make your shoulders tense. They built the emotional grammar you still use today, every single day, without noticing. This is sometimes called implicit memory, memory without a story attached. You don't have the footage, but you have the edit. You don't remember the lessons, but you carry the conclusions. In a strange way, your baby self isn't gone at all. You're still walking around inside the personality they helped build. And this is why a smell can stop you in the middle of a sidewalk. A certain detergent, a specific kind of soup, the particular dusty warmth of an old blanket. You don't know why it hits you so hard, because the memory it's pulling on was filed before you had the words to describe it. Your body knows. Your brain just refuses to translate. Smell is wired into the brain in a way that bypasses most of the usual memory machinery, which is why it can punch straight through to feelings you can't name. It's the closest thing you have to a time machine, and it's pointed at a country you can't otherwise visit. Now here's where this gets a little philosophical, and I think a little beautiful. There's a strong argument that your brain erases those years on purpose so you can become someone new. Imagine if you remembered every confusing, overwhelming sensation of your first weeks alive. Every time you didn't understand a face, every time the world was too loud or too bright or too big. You'd be dragging all of that around for the rest of your life. Instead, your brain takes the lessons, throws away the footage, and hands you a clean slate to grow on top of. It's less like deletion and more like composting. The old experiences break down into the soil that everything else grows out of. You are, quite literally, built on memories you'll never get to watch again. And there's something almost tender about that when you sit with it. Someone fed you in the middle of the night, and you'll never remember their face in that exact light. Someone made you laugh for the very first time, and neither of you can ever go back and watch it. Your earliest love stories, with parents, with siblings, with a stuffed animal whose name you've forgotten, happened in a room your adult brain isn't allowed back into. But you carry that room with you anyway in the shape of how you love now. You carry it in the way you reach for a hand in the dark, in the way certain voices unclench your shoulders without asking permission. So the next time you catch yourself trying to remember being 2 years old and hitting a wall of fog, don't be frustrated with your brain. It's not broken. It's not lazy. It didn't lose anything by accident. It made a choice very slowly across the first few years of your life to clear the desk so the rest of you could grow. Your earliest memories aren't really gone. They've just been turned into you. If this rewired something in your head a little, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps tiny channels like this one reach more curious brains. Subscribe to Bodyquirk if you want more weird, true stories about the body you're sitting inside right now. And tell me in the comments if you could get one lost memory from your early childhood back. Just one. Which one would you pick? I'll see you in the next one, where we're going to talk about why your brain insists on replaying your most embarrassing moment at 2 a.m. and what it's actually trying to do for you. Take care of that strange, beautiful brain of yours. It's been quietly looking out for you longer than you remember.